Hey everyone. What you see here is Alice's resume, or fictional Alice, and I stripped out all the formatting so that I can take you through some of the tricks and hints that I use when I'm building resumes or any documents really, things that we talked about in class last night. So the first thing I want to show you is before I ever get working in a document, and I have mine set to default, the first thing I do is I go to my view and I choose to have my ruler show. And that allows me to have the ruler here. And when I'm doing layout and format, that ruler becomes critical for me. And I'll show you how it starts to work for us once we get a little farther in to the actual resume building and the format and design. If you're like me, you hate the fact that now Word defaults to all that extra spacing between lines. And sometimes when you want it single spaced, it doesn't look like Word actually takes it to single space. What you want to do is highlight your sentences or your lines, and I actually would recommend that you set all this up before you start working, but for your purposes so you can see, I've built the contents and now I'll format it. Click here and open up your paragraph box. Choose line spacing single, but that's not enough, because if I just do that, look, there's still lots of space between it. You have to look over here on the left to the after field. So you've chosen single, now after, set that to 0. And once you do, it takes all that extra spacing out. So we've got that fixed. And I want to put Alice in the middle of the page. I actually want to use Garamond because I tend to think that looks nice as a resume font. And we want everything to be at least 12, so we can manipulate things as we go. First thing I want to do is bold Alice's name, and you can use the B button, or I use quick keys, which is Control B, and I want to make it stand out just a little bit. Now I'm a big fan of what's called small caps. You'll see those throughout documents that I build for you. I think they look nice as headers. So if you go to fonts and you open that, if you choose small cap right here, you can see in the box the preview what it looks like, and ta-da, there it is. So we've got that. Now here's my first major heading in the resume. I want to take that, it's set to Garamond 12, make it bold, and I want to use small caps again. But you know those lines I keep using in the documents? A lot of people sit there with their, the hyphen key and try to make a line. Don't do that. You're wasting time and it's not going to look good. Put your cursor there where you want it. And then see this button here? It's for borders. And if you do the drop down, you'll see all different types of things you can do. All borders, you make boxes, I choose just bottom border. And now I have that line and it's perfect. It goes from margin to margin for me. So now I want to set this up a little bit. I want to make this look a little different. Just again for the sake of this conversation. One of the things that is really annoying is when you see that there are lines there but you can't quite figure out why it's there. If you go here to this button, what it will do is actually show you all the different spaces. This represents that you hit the return key. The little dot will show you that you hit the space bar. And if you tab, it'll give you little arrows. We don't want those. So I want to take that out. Now I can identify where those extra spaces are. I don't recommend you work with that button on or it will make your eyes hurt. So I take that down and I want to fix that spacing between them. Single at 0. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take, and I want to be consistent. So University of California at Los Angeles, University of Arizona. And I want to fix that spacing again. Alright, so now I've gotten, and I'll come back and work with some of the information that's here. I want to take this because it's my next, and we're going to change that to professional experience. And I want it to look just like I did with education. Now I could go back through all those steps again, or I could simply use this tool right here. It's on your Home tab. It's called the Format Painter. It looks like a little brush. You go and you find what you want your text to look like. So here I want it to look like this header. Highlight it. Choose Format Painter. Now what you'll see is that my cursor has a little brush next to it. And I simply go and I find what I want to look like education. Highlight that. and it automatically does it for me. The longer your documents, when you're dealing with a lot of different formats and layout, that format painter can really save your life. Now I need to go back and fix the spacing, and I want to get rid of all those extra line spaces, and then I'll see how I like it, how it looks on the page. And I'm down to specialized skills. I want that to look just like this. Come back, use my format painter, and I'm actually going to pull this out. So I'm not quite down where I want to be. We'll get there. And since I'm already at 2 pages and I really don't want to be, I can now take out the awards and honors subsection. And since this was awarded through UCLA, I can put it here and maybe do a little subsection. Award and awards and honors. There. So that stands out a little bit. It's an appropriate place to put it. And I'll take care of these in just a few minutes. So now I want to look at this. I want to see how this plays out when I start playing with my formatting internal. I want to stay consistent. I like for things like titles, something important, to be in bold. So I did that. And notice it's just slightly different because now UCLA and University of Arizona are not in small caps and they don't have the line, so that distinguishes them from the headers. So now I want marketing assistant to stand out too. So I'll make that bold. I would prefer the date be over to the right so that I can look right down the right hand side and see those dates of employment. Tabs are generally automatically set to 10 spaces, so I'm going to tab over. I'll worry about the alignment in a second. I want to get this set up first. And again, if you're not seeing what I'm doing to make things bold, I use quick keys, and it's just Control and the letter B, and it'll automatically bold stuff for you, like that. Alright, I'll get to that in just a second. I want to get this down to 1 page. So how am I going to do that? I've got, and probably we'll add public speaking, just because I like to work with even numbers. Well, but now I have these two on a separate page. First thing I'm going to do is maybe give these bullets, see how they look. Okay. And I like to sometimes do things like make columns. So if you go to page layout and choose columns and 2, there you go. But look, I've got that extra page and I can't figure out how to get rid of it. Go back to that spacing button and see you've got some line breaks in there. If I just go in and delete those, now I'm down to 1 page. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about it. And what I'm thinking about doing now is aligning this. Remember I told you to put that ruler up? If you click, it'll give you a little line and it'll show you where things are set up, where things are jogged, if they're not exactly aligned properly. So there's no quick and easy. If you try to do this and align to the right, it affects the entire line. We don't want to do that. We just want to move those. So now I know that 1 space over too far. That takes me down a new line. Okay, so do that. And now if I take my ruler and I use that line, it'll show me that they're all actually aligned with each other on the margin. You can also use your ruler to do things like the top on the left hand side will indent that first line over. You got to highlight it though. Or if you want to jog it all over, make it a little block, you could do that. When you are doing works cited pages, this ruler could be really valuable for you. You could do this. See, now we can make things look even more standing out. Maybe let the bold align to the left. Just move. There you go. And that depends. Do you like it? All your text, your subtext will be there. But you can see how that ruler function, the different parts of the hourglass, will move things around for you. Honestly, for me, the biggest tools that I use all the time are my Format Painter. It's a lifesaver. This space button, because again, I can see. And there's nothing more infuriating than when you're printing and you have a blank space that comes out and you can't figure out why. Oftentimes, all it is that you've got some returns in there. So that will show you where that spacing is. And that Format Painter, especially when I'm dealing with bigger documents, becomes a real issue for me, and I want to treat PowerPoint, the Word, the way it should be. And what if I want to put in dashes instead of hyphens? I can do that right there. And then I'm simply just going to copy. I'm using quick keys again, Control C for copy, Control V for pasting. And there you have it. I would highly recommend that you go in and play around with some of these formatting options. When I'm not sure how to do something, like let's say for instance I wanted to put a line between these two in the columns, my go-to first of all is the Microsoft Word help function, and I just go add a line between columns, and it will take you to information on how to do that. Or I Google stuff. More than likely there's some type of YouTube video out there that will show you how to do something that you are trying to manipulate in the document. But truthfully, Google is my lifesaver as well as the help function. So I hope that those tools, the Format Painter, the ruler, things like how I put the line in, will help you, will benefit you. The one thing with the lines that you want to be careful with, if you highlight it, let's do that, and then sometimes it'll make a whole box, and sometimes I have to fight with Word to get around that. So you may want to play around, but that Format Painter should allow you to just pick it up from wherever you've set it in your document and put it on that text there. Hopefully this helps you get a better grasp on some of these tools that are available to you that will allow you to start feeling more comfortable with how you can lay things out to make them look on the page for your resume and your cover letter. If you need anything, drop me an email, give me a call, let me know if you have questions.